Things Motoring is owned and brought to you by CHANGECARS, South Africa's trusted online vehicle platform. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just need advice, visit changecars.co.za.
This week on All Things Motoring, we chat to Paul and Hein from Africa Rally about some of their Overland experiences, what it takes to take part in these types of events, the Africa Rally Pathfinder series, and take a spin in their chosen vehicles for 2023.
We're at the beautiful, well-maintained and actually exquisite lodge that is Glen Afrique, 7 minutes outside Hartbeespoort Dam. At All Things Motoring, from the very beginning, we wanted to do things differently. We weren't just going to be another car test website that you can go check on YouTube. We're going to share people's adventures, people's stories, people's journeys, people's visions, and at All Things Motoring, truly, we are proud to be part of those journeys. Today we're chatting with Paul Clayton from the UK. Paul is 32 years young, but he's already lived the life we all dream of. Paul, welcome, Wamkelikele, and in good old-fashioned Queen's English, a hearty warm welcome to you.
Thanks very much.
Lovely to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your story. Where did you start, your upbringing?
So I was born to Scottish parents, actually grew up in Shropshire in the UK, and then moved around a little bit, Oxford, London, New York, London, but always on the road. The adventure always takes priority, and that's always been a part of my life. So I mean, the first rally that we did was actually back in 2010 while I was still at university, and that really got the bug for all future trips.
Is that when you met Hein Ellerbeck? Lovely to have you here as well.
All right, thank you very much. No, we actually met in 2019 on a put-foot rally, and I've been stuck with him ever since.
And happily so.
Absolutely. I mean, the sense of adventure that we both have is just, it's never died, it's just grown and grown more. And here we are, you know, Paul's building his own rally, and I'm lucky enough to watch it grow and watch the adventure spirits just move forward.
Well, I'm very excited in a moment to share with our viewers the Africa Rally, because that's what we're here to talk about. But you spoke about 2010. Tell us about the 2010 first adventure.
So the first adventure was actually something called the Mongol Rally, set up by a company called The Adventurous, good friends of mine, Tom and Dan, and it's from London to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. Wow. There's been a few changes to the routes over the years, but back in 2010, we were basically able to drive all the way through Europe and down through Iran and up the old Silk Road through Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan.
In 2010, 22 years old, that's incredible.
Was I 22 then? Yes, I think so.
The thing about getting older is you start losing your memory.
Aye, true, and it's not the years, it's the mileage, that's the problem.
Tell us about that adventure.
Yeah, so basically the background to it was you weren't allowed to buy a vehicle that was more than £1,000. It had to be 1.2 litre engine or less, and it had to be non-4x4.
Now, when you say non-4x4, so what? They're just to make it difficult for the competitors?
Oh, absolutely, because they wanted it to be an adventure, they wanted it to be a challenge. And you can drive that entire route on tar. It might not be particularly good in tar if you've seen some of the roads in Kazakhstan, but the idea was they wanted people to get stuck, they wanted people to meet local people that would help them out and sort of build in that adventure to it.
Now, yourself, you mentioned, how did you guys meet?
Well, like I said, we did the put-foot rally in 2019.
Put-foot?
Put-foot.
A typical South African term.
Absolutely. As much as we can. Yeah. It's a great rally. It's a charity-driven rally where we're giving away school shoes throughout Africa. Fantastic thing. And then we bumped into each other and sort of formed a friendship that's lasted the test of time already, 4 years. And you meet these like-minded people, and these rallies just, you don't make friends, you extend your family.
That is a lovely term. You don't make friends, you extend your family.
Absolutely.
So before we come to the current Africa Rally project, 2016?
2016 was Plymouth to Dakar. So basically, as all good stories and all good trips usually start in the pub, we were talking about the Paris-Dakar Rally, we were talking about why it's no longer in West Africa, and basically there was a general sense of you needed a lot of money and a really decent vehicle and support crews and everything in order to do that trip. I had a different view. So we bought an old Suzuki Vitara for about 500 quid off eBay, and we drove as close to the original Paris-Dakar route as we could.
Now the route Plymouth to Dakar, tell us about what happened in between.
Yeah, so I mean, basically we drove through France, Spain, hopped across into Morocco. Lovely routes over the Atlas Mountains. The roads there are really, really nice. But then down through Western Sahara, into basically desert in Mauritania, and then eventually ending in Senegal.
The capital Dakar, city that never sleeps.
True. You can party hard in Dakar. That's very true. Slightly more difficult given that I don't speak any French, but we did have good fun.
Now Mauritania, that's extreme northwest Africa.
Yes, that's correct.
To the best of my knowledge, Nouakchott.
Nouakchott, yeah.
What is that? Tell us about that city.
Oh, that's a fairly rough city. I mean, put it this way, we were driving into the capital and graffitied on one of the bridges was just the words "want assassin" and a phone number. But in case there are any Mauritanians on the show, or anyone watching, I'm not bugging the country. There are some nice areas as well, but the capital is rough, yes.
Now, Hein, yourself, obviously nothing quite as adventurous and dangerous as a wanted assassin in Mauritania. Yourself, what is the biggest adventure you've been on?
I've done a few, but it was mainly work-based. You know, I have travelled Africa far less extensively than the young man next to me, but I have travelled quite a bit. And being in the different mining groups and things like that, we had the advantage of being able to take four-wheel drives out, which is more my passion. And crazy old cars.
Yes.
And being able to explore the Serengeti, being able to... I genuinely love Africa as it is, and there's just so many beautiful places to see, and if I can drive there, being South African, camping is a big thing. You know, lucky enough that my family is big into that sort of stuff, and I really love and enjoy driving through this amazing place that we call home. You know, we have probably the best backyard.
No question. Now, when you talk about Land Rover Defender?
Yes, Old County.
Old County.
Yeah, it used to rattle and you could see the sun through the rivets. I was good at pushing it. And if it ran out of oil, just poured it on the engine and it would seep back in by itself. But what a great vehicle, you know. Very lucky to be able to do things like that. Even now, my clients that know me will know that I don't, you know, fly in and B&B. They used to me arriving there in a big four-wheel drive, and I'll sleep on their tent in their yard if they'd let me.
So you're an easy house guest?
Absolutely.
Now the reason we're here, we can see the logos on the shirts.
Yes.
The Africa Rally. Tell us about the concept, tell us for our viewers what to expect.
So effectively, the Africa Rally was born out of a conversation with Tom and Dan, who I mentioned set up the Mongol Rally. We were up there driving little tiny comedy motorbikes, so little monkey bikes, the NC500 around Scotland. And we're having a few beers in the field at the launch party. We asked them why they're not doing anything in Africa particularly. They said obviously they tried, but there's too much else going on and all the rest of it. And it sort of coincided with the sale of the company that I was previously working for. So we said, okay, we're going to set up the Africa Rally. We're going to have similar sort of concepts, and we're going to share our love of Africa with as many people as possible.
Amazing. And I mean it again, thank you for that. Participants, entrants, how many allowed?
So for the Pathfinder edition that we're running next July, we're keeping it just to 50 teams. So you're going to have to be very quick when registration goes live on the 1st of December if you get your spot. And
the criteria to enter in terms of vehicle age, share with us?
Well, so we've actually got 5 different categories of entry. First of which is motorcycle category, because I know too many people with GSs that wouldn't be happy if we didn't include them. The next is classic vehicle category. So the classic vehicle has to be older than the oldest team member.
Has to be older than the oldest team member.
That's the only way we could define what a classic vehicle was.
Unfortunately, you won't be seeing me there. I apologise. I would have loved to have attended.
Then there's car class though, so you can still enter as car class. That's everything that's non-4x4 that doesn't fall under the other categories. There is of course 4x4 class, and then there's something called the random. So these are for the true crazy adventurous. These are the people that we really love. So we give them discounted entry if they want to do it in like an old fire engine, or we've got one guy doing it in a combi ice cream truck. You know, so if it's crazy enough, we'll give you discounted entry in the random category.
In terms of a vehicle, Is it a maximum 2 participants per vehicle? What is the criteria? Are you allowed 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people?
You can have as many people in your team as you want, as many as you can fit in the vehicle. We don't charge per person, it's only for the team to actually enter, so it does make it cheaper if there's more people.
Hein, what do you think? A Toyota Hi-A 16-seater? Can you see a couple of participants there?
The old Putco bus. Putco bus with a fridge in the back.
Can you imagine, like what, 75 people there?
Perfect. You mean it's going to cost you pittance to go in?
What is the incentive besides the absolute adventure? Are there scrutineers? Is it being? Are you winning prizes for the best? What is the rally about?
So we do have something called the Pathfinder Awards. So in these sorts of things, it's not going to be a big cash prize, but it's going to be things like best dressed team to cross the finish line.
Would the All Things Motoring team qualify for that?
I think you might do. But it's also the vehicle that has to be dressed as well.
Okay.
So think as crazy as you possibly can, and you'll probably be up there for the awards.
Now the route chosen. I believe you can choose different routes. The contestants are not limited to one specific route. What are the route options?
Yeah, so with the start lines in Hearties, the finish lines in Kisumu in Kenya, but how you actually get there is up to you. We didn't want to limit this because we wanted to allow people with different types of vehicles, different levels of experience to still see a route that they were comfortable with.
That's incredible. So is there a start date and an end date which you want to ideally be there on?
Absolutely. Well, in order to make the parties, if anything else. So the 1st of July is the start line party. The finish line party is on the 22nd of July. Anytime we do an expedition, we try and raise money for a chosen charity. Now that we actually have the ability to run this as a company, and after COVID with so many people needing help, we want each team to choose a charity that they're passionate about and raise money for that, raise awareness for that as they're actually taking part.
That's incredible. Entry cost per entrant?
So entry cost, if I just convert it into rand for a moment, we're probably looking at a maximum of 30,000 per team. So in terms of the vehicles, I've actually got a Mark IV 1980 Ford Cortina that's already got a bit of rally pedigree as it completed the Put-Foot Rally in 2019.
Engine in that?
The engine is 1.6. It's the old Ford Kent motor.
The original Kent motor still in there?
Yes. Still in there, about 830,000 kilometers on the clock.
That is absolutely incredible. And 830,000 kilos unopened?
Unopened, yeah, as far as we can tell, unopened.
That is incredible. And the second option?
Beautiful car.
Paul doesn't live in the country but owns 3 vehicles here. And one of them that we've just got is a 1960 3-litre straight 6 Wolseley. Wow. 3 on the tree, as they say, with overdrive. That will also be taking part. It's one of the cars that predates safety belts but has 5 ashtrays.
The important features were taken care of.
Absolutely.
So who's driving which?
That is yet to be discussed because
it is a
I
fight
love
at the
both of
moment.
those cars. Yeah. I think I'm probably going to go for the Cortina though.
You used to?
Yeah, I'm used to it. She's got a soft spot in my heart. Like I said, she's already been out off the bush. She's already been across the Botswana in salt pans. I've got faith she'll do it.
And with 830,000 Ks, it needs that tender touch?
Yes, she has a very special way that she needs to be driven.
That 3-litre straight 6 is an absolute masterpiece. Our viewers will listen to that engine, and if you did not know that this was a vehicle from the 1960s, you would not argue that this was designed in the 2010s.
Absolutely. It's just one of those vehicles that, you know, when you see the ad where they bounce, put the coin on it and it'll stay, it's exactly what it is. Just those old cars were just...
perfectly balanced.
Absolutely, and built out of passion. And, you know, it's not a mass-produced, let's Tupperware toy.
So if we can take 7 seconds to talk about all the luxury features.
Armrests, armrests and an ABBA tape with an 8-track player.
That's incredible. Which particular song was playing?
We haven't got the radio to work yet.
Oh, okay. So it's just hearsay that it actually does work.
Yeah, so far we're just singing the songs that we know. But all good, we'll get her there.
Awesome.
We'll get her there.
So now, as we know, there's nothing I'm scared of, excric for nix. I'm really keen to take this Cortina and the Wolseley for a drive. Of the two, which is going to be the more difficult to drive? The 60s or the 80s vehicle?
Definitely the 80s vehicle. The Cortina needs a lot of love at the moment.
Tell us what are a few of the nuances.
Well, the distributor has still got a bodge job from when we fixed it by the side of the road in Mozambique.
Using a fuse.
Using a fuse, yeah. So that's very unhappy at the moment. So you're going to have to rev her highly and you know, don't pull away in second gear or anything like that.
4-speed gearbox?
4-speed gearbox, absolutely. Very smooth gear changes, actually. That won't be a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the main issue. She's also got a push button start that I'll need to show you how to use.
In 1980, they had a push button start, surely not.
No, not at all, not at all.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so actually on day 3 of the put foot, we ended up losing the car keys in Namibia. So we got into a little bit of trouble. They were forcibly lost, shall we say. Anyway, aside from that, the car then needed to start by being hot wired. And given that we drove it through 7 international borders while we were hot wiring it, we thought now it's back in South Africa, it's time to actually get it sorted.
That's
the push button.
So you went across borders with a hot wired car.
Yeah, with a hot wired
car. But he's a genuinely straight guy, this. That I can assure you. And the Wolseley, any particular nuances there?
At the moment, she's not charging, so we get Tina to charge because the cars all get names. So the Wolseley is Violet, and we have Tina, the Cortina. So the Tina's helping keeping the Wolseley's battery charged. 3rd gear, a little bit sticky, and it has the world's best hooter.
Talk about synchro mesh. Absolutely. Tell us about the hooter.
It sounds like a train. You will literally change someone's blood group every time you press it.
I feel like a little boy. I'm super excited. Ready to go drive?
Absolutely.
Awesome, guys. Just had a great interview with Hein and Paul, now in front of the 2 cars that are the poster cars for the rally, 1980 Ford Cortina and a beautiful 1960 Wolseley Straight 6. We're going to start off with the Cortina.
Absolutely.
And you're going to show me all the tricks and nuances. But most importantly, can I please have my sunglasses back?
Oh, not a problem.
Thank you very much, appreciate that. Ready to go.
Saying this is the first time ever a passenger.
Really?
Yeah. Almost always behind the wheel. Very nice, very nice.
Paul, one thing that's very clear to me about this car, the gearbox still feels tight, the clutch is smooth, the steering incredibly light, 832,000 kilos. It's almost for me inconceivable that a vehicle can do this type of kilos. And again, I say it respectfully, the Ford wouldn't have been the vehicle that I would have thought would have been first choice. So typically a Toyota. What made you choose a Ford?
Well, we were quite drunk when we purchased the car, and we actually bought it blind. So I was sitting in a pub in London when we bought it from a guy in Cape Town.
Yeah?
And the thing is, because the car's light, it would do this sort of off-road stuff.
Amazing.
And I never want to pick the ideal vehicle for the job. I'll pick the most interesting.
Of course, in South Africa there's a little bit of a standing joke. You know what Ford stands for?
What's that?
Fixed or repaired daily. But, but the F part is actually another word they use. We don't use that on air.
Fair.
Do you get something called a Ford EcoSport in the UK?
I don't think so, no. It's not someone I've come across.
Lovely, lovely, lovely car and lovely seller. Funny enough, one's just gone past us.
Oh yeah.
Now, having travelled extensively through Africa and Asia, where in Africa do you experience the best roads?
The best roads in terms of the actual driving, I would say Malawi. So my favourite mountain pass in the world is the long way down to Monkey Bay.
Yes.
Forget about the Trans-Fagansson Highway, forget about the mountain passes in Turkey. Malawi is where you want to go for that.
Amazing. So now I'm travelling at 80 k's an hour. There's not a single vibration through the steering wheel, not a single bit of feedback through the brakes or steering. Just incredible. What have you done to this particular vehicle? Nothing.
No, exceptionally little. The only thing that isn't completely standard on this is the alternator, because we had to fix that in the garage in Rehoboth with a custom bracket and all the rest of it. The rest factory standard.
Now Rehoboth, that's how far outside Windhoek in Namibia?
I think it's about hour 2's drive.
And on the drive from Windhoek to Rehoboth, I take it you've seen nothing.
No.
It's just totally undeveloped?
Completely empty. It's just desert, basically. It's one of the reasons why we're doing the start line for the Africa Rally at Hearties rather than on the Western Cape, because Those are the windscreen wipers. Because we want people to actually see a lot of Africa, and Namibia is beautiful, but it's a trip in its own right.
Of course, yeah. I put those windscreen. That wasn't me. That was just me pretending to get it wrong.
I see.
I want to go back in the Wolseley. Like in Top Gear, what we do now is we pull over for a chat at the side of the road. In a very short space of time, All Things Motoring has become the most well-known and watched show in the world. There's also a show in the UK called Top Gear, run by 3 individuals, James May, Richard Hammond and Kelly Clarkson. I think it's Kelly Clarkson, am I right?
I think you're absolutely correct.
One of the things I love about that particular show is when they stop and they have a roadside debate. Whose car's better? Who's made the better decision? Paul, I've had the pleasure of driving your beautiful machine. Like I said, not a vibration. I would go across Africa in that, and that's the honest truth. Hein, what am I in for here?
Well, we're going to be going in the Wolseley, and I'm going to introduce you to a bit of land yachting.
Land yachting?
Absolutely.
Is that because the handling is so secure on the road?
It's the most planted car you'll never drive.
Can't wait, let's go for it. So now, for our viewers, the gearbox is where?
Over here.
No, I said the gearbox, not the indicator stalk, please. Hey, the gear lever.
Yeah.
Very light clutch. I mean, how is that gear change? Absolutely. I mean, this is honestly, genuinely the first time I'm driving it. So you reckon about 40 miles an hour before I go into third?
And then bring it down quite hard.
So now is the overdrive effectively a 4th gear or the 3rd in a longer leg, with longer legs?
It's like a 3.5 gear.
Yes.
So slightly longer legs, but I mean, you know, we're doing more or less, as you can see, the clocks are, they're more or less somewhere between 40 and 50 miles an hour.
So we're approaching just on 50 miles an hour, which is roughly 75 k's.
Yeah.
Again, like with the Cortina, my hands are off the wheel. I'm not trying to be a hero.
No.
It's tracking straight. There's no vibration. This is superb. Now, you spoke about it being a land yacht. I must say, while the steering is probably not as direct as a modern car, it by no means feels overly wallowy on the road.
No.
The brakes are nice and responsive. Are they servo assisted, these brakes?
Yes.
That's incredible. Now, again, I've just put my foot down a little bit. It is super, super smooth. Even at idle, it is super smooth. 3 litre straight 6, very, very torquey.
Absolutely. It's actually a lovely car to drive, and as you can see, you're already using one of the best features, which is an armrest.
Yeah.
The seats, it's like driving around with your sofa. Yeah.
What a fun afternoon. For me, what is so clear, no matter how long you've been doing something, no matter how long you've been in the motor trade, you never stop learning. In my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be waxing lyrical about 2 cars, one 42 years old and one 62 years old. Easy to drive. This Wolseley in particular has blown me away. Hein, Paul, what an afternoon. Thank you so much. I can tell you now, our viewers are going to enjoy the show. It's not just going to be one show. We're going to make sure that they follow the Africa Rally journey. We're going to keep all our viewers posted with the events that are upcoming. We're going to track, we're going to be part of it, and we'd love to have you at Glen Afrique on the day of the launch. Normally they say you could count on one hand the amount of things that impress you. Today I could not count on 2 hands the amount of things that impressed me. Do me a favor, please give us a hoot here on this, but a couple. It is exceptional. Can you imagine pulling into a roadhouse in the 60s and ordering your milkshake and burger? Unbelievable.
Next week on All Things Motoring, we head back to Kailami for the Festival of Motoring, where we'll be going around the track and chatting to some very interesting people.
Quickly, who won there? Have you ever had it? Like look at it, looks like a rubber leg. 1960?
Yeah.
When did that get older?
All Things Motoring is owned and brought to you by CHANGECARS, South Africa's trusted online vehicle platform. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just need advice, visit changecars.co.za.